Salam! I am turning 26 on the 4th of February, and here are 25 lessons I've learned at 25. I've wanted to do this video for such a long time, so here we go. If you're new here, my name is Maimuna and I create content about everything basically. I don't have a niche yet, I'm still figuring it out, so stick with me. So the first lesson that I've learned is to put God first in everything you do. Everything that you see in me, everything that I've accomplished is by the grace of God. That's actually a quote by Denzel Washington. He's a great actor, I love his movies. In his interview, you always see how he moves faithfully, and I try to be exactly that. To put God first in everything I do. By consulting him first with a dream that I have for goal. When I was younger, I had so many role models, also celebrities, and I look up to them and I wanted to be them. What I had to learn the hard way is that whatever I see in them, I can become as well, and what they have, I can get as well, because it's from God and I have to put in the work. And there is a saying in my faith, which is to tie your camel and trust in Allah. Those have to go hand in hand. One can't come before the other. There's another verse in the Quran that says, God doesn't change the condition of a person until they change what's in themselves. If I want to change something, then I have to put in the work, and Allah will help me. It has helped me so much. Actually put in the work, trust in God, pray, leave the rest to Him, and also the things that I can't control. I put this lesson first because it's one of the most important and a very important lesson. Be to myself the way I would be to a child or to a best friend. If I had a child, I think this is how I would parent my child. I wouldn't be so hard on my child. I wouldn't use bad words. I would have empathy on my child, and I would encourage my child to do so many things. But why am I not doing this to myself? I treated myself so bad. I talked to myself so bad. I put myself down like I was actually my own bully for such a long time. And you allow other people to treat yourself the way you treat you. But if I am talking to a younger child and I taught in secondary school for a long time, act in a different way. And if I talk to my best friend, I also act in a different way. So why can't I show this grace, this love, this empathy to myself? And this is one hard pill that I had to swallow and learn. Be kind to myself. Would you give your child a phone for any hours and just leave them to that? No, you wouldn't. Would you give your child the phone first thing in the morning? Would you let your child eat so much sweets all the time? No, you wouldn't. Do you want your child to be engaged in sport and activities, dopamine activities that are not screen based? Yes, you would. So why don't you do it to yourself? Sometimes you have to say, all right, it's time to go to bed. All right, I'm just gonna watch one episode. I'm just gonna eat one of these candy bars. I'm gonna go to the gym even if I don't want to, even if you've done a mistake. You have to talk to yourself in a nice way, because this is also what you would do to your child. That helped me so much. Do not judge a book by its cover entirely. I love reading and I read so many books, and I have to say I do pay attention to the cover. For example, I'm currently reading this book, and I have always been looking at covers because the cover is the first thing that you see about a book. But the cover doesn't determine the greatness of the book. You can have a great cover, shitty content. You can have a great cover with good content. You can have a bad cover with great content. Vice versa, you get the gist. You actually have to read the back of a book. You have to read inside of the book, or at least a great amount of the book, to decipher whether the book is actually bad or not. I actually don't want to use the word bad. Whether the book is actually worth your time or not. And it also applies to people. Like, you could meet some people and see them, and maybe based on your past experience, what you have learned, you have a picture of them, you decide not to talk to them. One good example that I can give you is I had a picture of people who are tattooed. Then they were one of the sweetest people. I had to remind myself, I judge these people by their cover. Sometimes the cover is right, but you can't entirely judge them by the cover. And a lot of people also judge us Muslims, especially hijabis, by our covers. I remember talking to this one lady, and she was like, well, you are actually not what I expected you to be. What did you expect me to be? She had a picture of me. She saw my cover. Most of the time, people see my cover and already make up their mind who I am, what I'm like. And there are other people who see my cover, but still decide to talk to me, approach me, and perhaps they realize that their picture of me is wrong. I would be a liar to say that I don't don't look at the cover at all. I do look at the cover, but I leave it open for other people to tell me who they are, and I'm not the one who decides who they are. Another lesson that I had to learn the hard way is to not fight for people. Like when I was younger, I learned that you had to fight for relationships to show that you are a loyal friend. Don't do that. I will break you to pieces. If people don't want to be friends with you anymore, it is a hard pill to swallow. Perhaps there's actually a good reason for it, but it could be really sometimes that people don't want to be friends with you anymore, and they also don't want to give you the reason. You have to accept that. It's so hard to accept something. You want to get the closure from other people, but you have to give the closure to yourself. Another lesson by itself. I fought for like 2 relationships so badly, and I wanted to prove to these people that I was worthy, that I am a good friend, that they should be friends with me. But while I did that, I actually disrespected myself. I was putting myself down to show these other people that I am good enough. People will come and go in your life. People will stay for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And you will have to accept that most of the relationships are for a reason or a season, and actually very few for a lifetime. Let them go. Something better is coming your way. God is protecting you. The next lesson that I've learned is don't accept the hate. Like there are so many occasions that come to my mind, like people just stopping right at the street and staring at me. In the past, I would look back and see that they're still staring at me. Or the wrong person who is literally yelling at you for being black or for being Muslim, and they will just go on a rampage. People who really try to test you. And in the past, I would get mad, I would get angry, I would start to argue with these people. I would prove something to them. At the end of the day, it just depleted me and really sucked all of my energy, and I felt worse than before. I had to learn to not accept the hate. Like let these people just go on a rampage. You can actually leave the situation. You don't have to engage in it. What I've learned is if it is in a function where you can just leave the situation, is to look at these people, pause, actually repeat what they said to you. They will realize what they've said and be like, oh no, I didn't mean it this way. If someone attacks you, if someone puts hate on you, just ask whether you have understood it the right way. Repeat what they've said. And believe me, something else will come out. So don't take the bait. Leave it at that. Like if you think about bullying, the person who bullies you, and if you don't respond to the bully, they will eventually stop. That's how you have to see it. But tied to this lessons, I also learned another lesson. Get up, stand up for your right. We had to sing this in music class in 5th grade so many times. Line from Bob Marley. I think the song is called Get Up, Stand Up. You should know your right. If someone puts hate on you, report it. Whether it's at university, school, work, go report it. Why are you letting these people put you down? If you don't stand up for yourself, how do you expect other people to stand up for yourself? If this situation would happen to your child, going back to the child analogy, would you just tell your child, well, you know, it happened? Or would you actually stand up for your child? Would you report it? Yes, you would. So also report it when people are offending you. You should know your rights and then stand up for yourself. So get up, stand up for your right. Having a miserable list is very important. I was struggling with my gratitude list because when I started to get into this attitude of gratitude and write down the things that I'm grateful for, I realized that I was always repeating the same things over and over again. We tend to forget what happened to us, rightfully so. There were times in my life where I thought I couldn't move on from a certain thing. I hit rock bottom and I was like, all right, that's it. I don't know whether I can get through this. Years later, months later, it passed. Alhamdulillah. In order to be grateful, you also need to understand what you went through. Where your rock bottoms. Write this down so you actually can be grateful for all the things that you have. Being in Berlin, for having an own apartment, for being healthy. Do you remember the times that you were actually so sick? Because I do remember. It wasn't a nice time. So the next lesson I had to learn the hard way. To do things in the first 2 weeks. I don't know how many opportunities I've missed. Because I'll be like, oh yeah, I will come back to it. And I forgot it. Or I would remember the last 2 days because someone wrote a message. Someone posted it in their story. But then these 2 days would be too late to sign up. Then I had to wait 1 year. I missed the opportunity that didn't come around again. And I had to learn it multiple times. Whether it's a program, whether it's an exchange, whether you want to travel somewhere and you have to file the right papers, whether it's something else. Official things take time. You can't do this last minute, like 2 days before. 2 weeks minimum. Events, if you see it, they have a first come first serve basis. Sign up for it and don't be like, well, I have to think about it. But then last minute, when all the spots are gone, you're like, oh man, I wanted to go there so bad. that? Why didn't I sign up? Why did I wait so long? You knew it at the beginning. You see an email, a poster, a program, whatever it is that really interests you and you want to do it, you want to go there, then mark it in your calendar, gather all the things that you need for it in the first 2 weeks, regularly schedule it in as official workings. This has helped me so much because I am actually about to do a trip soon, inshallah. I have to do all the official things, like please sign up the first 2 weeks and block it in your calendar, and you will not miss these opportunities again. Do things in stability and not in desperation, because this will create like a vicious cycle that you can't get out from. And this is also something that applies to bad habits, but not only bad habits. One example that I can give you is apartment. I needed an apartment, and for this you also need official documents, which I waited way too long for. I would wait like a couple of months before I needed to leave that apartment on a limited contract. So I would like look at all these apartments. I would get rejected from certain apartments, and then the time was running out. I needed to get out. I needed to have a new apartment. So I would just take anything, set my bar very low. As I reached to that apartment, I was relieved that I had an apartment, but because I had a low bar, there were certain things I noticed at the apartment that are not right. So I realized, okay, I need to move again, find a new apartment. Really waited such a long time, an apartment that wasn't right or a limited contract, and the cycle would go on and on and on. I had to learn the hard way. I have to break out of the cycle and do things in stability. So this apartment that I'm in now is also on a limited contract. I have to go out by the end of the year, but instead of waiting 2 months before I have to get out, I started to look for new apartments right when I moved in here. I will continue to do this because if I want to have a good apartment that actually suits my needs and is on a limited contract, I have to start now and not wait until the last minute. And this doesn't only apply to apartments, it could also be to finding a spouse. It could also be when it comes to a job, it comes to bad habits. You have to break out of the cycle by not doing things in desperation, but actually doing things in stability when you have enough time to check that they align with your standards. So never assume, but to ask. As a child, I was always a person that assumed because I was so shy. I assumed what they thought. I assumed what they did. I assumed how it's gonna be like. Based on that, I made my decision. Well, I think probably gonna be like this. Well, I think they will say no. And then I didn't ask. Someone else would ask and I would actually get the clear answer, which wasn't what I actually expected. Even if the assumption is the same as your answer, you will have it. But if you don't have it, you will just ruminate and think all the time. But that's not the real answer. Don't assume about a personal situation. Ask, get the right answers, and then move forward. This made my life so much easier because I was always stuck on my head, but now I know and I don't have to think so much about it. Tying to that list, to ask people. I was always afraid of asking people for something in life in general. I just didn't ask because I thought they would say no. But the chances of people saying no is smaller than the chances of them saying yes. People can either say yes, they can refer you to someone else or something else, or they will say no. The chances of getting a yes or a referral is actually higher than the chance of no. And if you have a no, then it is what it is. We'll just find another way or ask another person. Actually, during COVID, I was doing my high school exams and I asked one of my teachers whether he could help me with my oral exams, but he was busy and couldn't do it, but he referred me to another teacher. At first I was reluctant to do that, but then I accepted it. He helped me so much, and that was a referral. Worst thing is they will say no, but most of the times you will get a yes or a referral. So there is no point in comparing yourself to other people. And I had to learn this the hard way because I've been comparing to people for years. My friend already has her master's or is doing her PhD. She's already married. She has X, Y, Z, and I have X and Y. Comparing with people that I went to high school with, comparing with people who are in the same age or were born in the same year as I was. And I always felt so drained or like a failure. And I was then also starting to compare myself with people who are younger than me and achieve more than me. Thing is, the grass will always seem greener on the other side, but the grass is actually greener where you water it. You have to focus on your own grass. People have their own path. They have different backgrounds. They have different challenges. They have different starting points. So there's no point in comparing yourself with other people. Focus on yourself. Focus on your journey. What has happened to you? Which challenges did you have? Which challenges did you overcome? Where are you now? Look at your path. Stay in your lane. It's very hard. You have to constantly remind yourself to stay in your your own lane and not look at other people. And it has helped me so much. Lesson number 10 is to write down, start a Wednesday or weekend waffle. So the other day I saw a reel on Instagram and it was about this guy who moved to a different country. All his friends were back in his hometown and he wanted to keep in touch with them. So he started a Wednesday waffle. So basically they have a WhatsApp group. Each week on Wednesday they update each other what they have been doing. He felt the most connected during this Wednesday waffle than when he lived in the city. So basically it's a video of 2 minutes where you talk about all the things that has been happening the past week. He knows that on Wednesday when he goes to the WhatsApp group, things are going down. And I actually adapted this in my life and I've been doing this now for 1.5 months with my closest friends. So with 7 of my friends, I'm doing the Wednesday waffle, and with one friend, the weekend waffle, because she doesn't have time on Wednesday. And it is so beautiful to hear from my friends, and I feel most connected to them than when I used to live in my city with all my friends. If you want to feel more connected to your friends who live in different parts of the world, if you have moved, then I would recommend to do the Wednesday or weekend waffle with your closest friends or even your family. It's awesome. Unlearn what you have learned, learn and relearn. There are so many things that I've learned when I was a child. I had to unlearn these things. They were based on people's limiting beliefs or misconceptions, based on people's fear. I adopted this mindset. I adopted this attitude towards life. And this could come from anywhere. This could come from home, the school, from media. Just talking about faith. I also had to unlearn and relearn my faith, because a lot of things that I learned when I was a child was also not right. What is acceptable, what is right, and what do you have to discard, unlearn, relearn? This is a process that I have to do constantly in my life. So don't be so set in stone. There are so many things that you will continue to learn as you go along. The next lesson I had to learn the hard way is to get help professionally. You can't do everything by yourself. You are not an expert in every field, whether it is mental health, physical health, academically, financially. Usually if you are in school or university, there are people who can help you. Also outside of school and university, you just have to research and inform yourself. And if you're not in a place to do that, really ChatGPT can give you all the information. If you need to find financial advisors for free for students, just type it on ChatGPT and also mention your city and it will give you all the resources. I was stuck with the same issues, but it has changed so much since I was like, okay, I need help in this area, so I will find an expert. And also praise the card. Sit in silence, study in silence, move in silence, eat in silence, do more things in silence and do more things alone. I was very afraid to be silent, like not listen to podcasts, not listen to music, not listen to anything, just your thoughts actually, because I needed to hear something to disrupt my thought, because I am recovering daydreamers, not other things, and other people distracted me. I could distract myself. It's so crazy, like my mind can distract myself. I would listen to things to disrupt the talking in my head, but I actually realized that it's also counterproductive and that I actually needed to sit and be silent. Meditation also helped me just to focus and observe my thoughts without letting these thoughts consume me. It was a very long process, so I don't want to break it down as if it was very easy. You don't need to listen to something all the time. And the same thing, you don't need to be with people all the time. Try to do things that you really enjoy by yourself. If you want to go to this restaurant, go by yourself. If you want to go to this event, go by yourself. There were so many opportunities that I have missed because my friends didn't want to go and I was afraid to go by myself, so I didn't go. I remember I wanted to be part of the exchange program in France. I didn't go because my friends didn't want to go. I wanted to do the ski trip in school. I didn't go because my friends didn't want to go. I was in America and I got into high school. I wanted to watch a movie and none of the people in my history class wanted to watch the movie with me because they just didn't like it. Either it was the prequel of Harry Potter, like Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, or it was a Marvel movie. I don't remember exactly, but they didn't want to watch it with me. So I had two options. Either I don't go, I miss watching something that I really like, or I go, but I'm by myself. I eventually went and I was so worried that people will look at me. They will probably think I'm weird or cringe or whatever. And it didn't happen. I enjoyed the movie. You can't always rely on other people to do things. You have to also find the courage in yourself to do stuff. Be the first person to introduce yourself. For the longest time in my life, I had social anxiety. I couldn't talk to people, and I remember in 5th grade, in Germany, elementary school is from 1st to 4th grade, and then you go to secondary school. We don't have like middle school or high school. Middle school and high school is in one. I was so anxious of going to a new school and meeting new people, and I remember telling to my brother how I would walk and like bump into someone like by accident, and then our books will drop and I will like pick up these books and be like, oh, you read these books? And my brother said it's such a dumb idea, I shouldn't do it. It just shows how I would be so shy and just be in my corner and not talk. Even though I saw these people and they were talking and there was something that I was interested in or I wanted to engage with, but I was just like in this corner looking at them and hoping that they would talk to me. With time, I gotten more confident and I realized you just have to be the first person to introduce yourself. Go to someone who is smiling, who seems very open and nice, and just say, hi, my name is Maimuna, what's your name? Simple as that. Talk about the things that you observe. Ask the person why they came to this function. These are like my starting points in conversations. Just be the first person to break the ice, and you don't know how you're helping also other people in the process. So I have this book and here are the passwords, email addresses, numbers from my accounts and my closest people. I lost my phone multiple times. And then I lost my phone that I had for such a long time. My pictures were gone. I didn't know the number of my friends and I didn't know my passwords. And for 1 month, I was struggling to get to my phone provider to ask whether they can reset my account. I had like a 2-step authorization process. So when I go on my phone, I have to authorize it with another device of mine, but I lost it. So I couldn't go to my emails, to my accounts. It was such a hassle. And I learned from that to write down all your passwords and numbers that are very important to you and have it in physical form. You probably think to yourself, well, I don't lose my phone like that. Just do it. Start before you are ready. One of the things that helped me back so many times is that I wanted to make it perfect. When I started up my YouTube channel, I didn't think so much about the videos that I posted. It didn't have to be perfect. I was just creating what really interested me. But with time, I got more into the perfectionist procrastination loop because I wanted to create something that is perfect, but not only for YouTube, but also in other domains, or create a newsletter. When it came to submitting a project, based on that, I actually didn't start or didn't finish it because I was procrastinating. What really helped me was the 70% rule and the 30% rule. If it's 70% done, it can be submitted. But if it's something else, then I go with the 30% rule. So inform yourself and gather the knowledge, 30%, and then start. And as you go along, you will learn. So you learn, you start, you adopt, you change. Because you actually have to put theory into practice. I mean, you can read all the books you want, you can watch all the videos you want, but if you don't actually start, you will never face the problems. Therefore, find the solutions that will actually help you to propel forward. At least inform yourself somewhat, then start. And with that being said, I'm moving on, which is to have a proof of portfolio. I never really realized how much I actually accomplished in my life because I didn't write these things down. So I started to write down all the things that I've accomplished, same categories, financially, spiritually, academically. Whenever I want to start something new that I'm also afraid of, I just look at the list and see I've done it already. I already started things that were scary at first, but I managed it. I came out on the other side and it was actually great to do more of the things that I wanted to do as a child. But it also doesn't have to be childhood based. It could also be something that interests you right now. If they interest you, write it down, find a way to do that. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to monetize it. You can just draw because you like drawing. You can go to a pottery class because you want to make pottery. You can start doing crocheting. So many things are getting monetized, and I'm saying it as a person who does YouTube, but you don't have to be perfect and everything. You don't have to be perfect at all. Another lesson I've learned is if God has planted a vision in your life, listen to it. I wanted to do one thing for such a long time, but I didn't do it because I was afraid, because I didn't believe in myself, because I didn't think I could actually do it. And this has followed me for such a long time. It's like an underlying thing in my life. Like it would pop up in my hand once in a while. I would check out whatever I had to do for the thing and then realize, oh no, I can't actually do it. I'm not good enough. I know anyone one who's doing this, and I would just leave it at that and do the safe option. For the past months, I have actually been working on a big project. That is the thing, the vision that has been planted in my life. I did the first step. It just confirmed that I should move towards this direction. If God has planted a vision in your life, listen to it. Living by myself is to buy things in moderation, to buy things for a week. I used to live in a big family. Alhamdulillah, we bought things more on a monthly basis, like the big sack of rice, things and packs. And when I started living alone, I did this too and realized how spoiled my food was quickly getting, but I just bought it. Because I am now living by myself and only cooking and eating for one person, there was a time where I had to throw away many food astaghfirullah because it got spoiled so many times. I didn't realize that I am just an only person and buying things for 1 month doesn't help me. Buy for 1 week and then continue to buy the next thing. Budget and also cook for yourself. Alright, another thing that I've learned is that no one cares about your age. No one freaking cares about your age. I was so engrossed with my age and I would always look at other people and their ages and what they have accomplished. Like there was a certain age that you have to accomplish something, or there's a certain age where you can do something. At least once you leave high school and go to university, you will meet people from all kinds of spectrum. But also in general, other things that you want to do. If you want to pivot careers, if you want to start another hobby, no one freaking cares. Yes, it could be that you are the oldest person. Also okay if you're the youngest in one kind of situation. Don't let age hold you back from doing what you really want to do, whether it's a degree, a program, sports, I don't know. Like no one cares about your age really. So stop fixating on age and just do it. With that, I am tying into the 25th lessons I've learned at 25, which is that I'm still figuring it out. You don't have to know everything. As you progress in life, you will evolve, you will change your opinions, and it's okay to adapt. It's okay to pivot. It's okay that you're still figuring it out. I don't know my niche yet, and that's totally okay. And I will make the videos that I think are right in the phase that I am right now. These are the 25 lessons I learned so far. If I had more time, I will probably come up with more lessons, but I wanted to keep it at that. Again, don't try to be so perfect. If you came to the end of this video, first of all, thank you. You are part of the 20% club that actually watches videos until the end. And this video was a longer one, so thanks for listening to my yap. Thanks for listening to my lessons. Perhaps you could take anything away from it, and see you in my next videos, inshallah. Wassalam.